Please sit down.
Thank you.
Would you like a coffee or a liqueur?
No. I had to come, Mr. Carmine.
Yes?
I felt a tremendous urge, like a rushing wind. So I hopped on my bike and here I am.
It was very kind of you.
No, not kind at all. It's my duty. I know it strongly.
Duty?
I reproach myself bitterly, you know.
Please don't. There's no necessity for that.
I allowed myself to get into a huff the other day with your late wife. I rode all the way home in the grip of a temper, Mr. Condamine. I have regretted it ever since.
But my dear Madame Arcadi.
Please, let me go on. Mine is the shame, mine is the blame. I shall never forgive myself. Had I not been so impetuous, had I listened to the cool voice of reason, so much might have been averted.
You told my wife that there was nothing that you could do. You were perfectly honest. Over and above your original unfortunate mistake, I see no reason for you to reproach yourself.
I threw up the sponge. In a moment of crisis, I threw up the sponge instead of throwing down the gauntlet.
Whatever you threw, Madame Arcadi, I'm afraid there's nothing whatever to be done. Circumstances have been a little too strong for all of us.
I cannot bring myself to give up so easily. It is gall and wormwood to me. I could at least have concentrated, made an effort.
Never mind.
I do mind. I cannot help it. I mind every fiber of my being. I've been thinking very carefully. I've also been reading up a good deal during the last few dreadful days. I gather that we are alone.
My first wife is not in the room. She's lying down. The funeral exhausted her. I imagine that my second wife is with her, but of course I've no way of knowing for certain.
You've remarked no difference in the texture of your first wife since the accident?
No, not really. A little under the weather, perhaps a trifle low-spirited, but that's all.
Well, that washes that out.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
Just a little theory I had. In the 19th century, there was a pretty widespread belief that a ghost who had participated in the death of a human being disintegrated automatically.
How do you know that Elvira was in any way responsible for Ruth's death?
Elvira. Such a pretty name. Has a definite lilt to it, hasn't it? Elvira. Elvira.
You haven't answered my question. How did you know?
It came to me last night, Mr. Condamine. It came to me in a blinding flash. I had just finished my Ovaltine and turned the light out when I suddenly started up in bed with a loud cry, "Great Scott! I said I've done it!" After that, I began to put two and two together. At about 3 in the morning, with my brain fairly seething, I began to work on my crystal for a little. But it wasn't very satisfactory. Cloudy, you know.
I would be very much obliged if you would keep any theories regarding my wife's death to yourself, Madame Arcadi.
My one desire is to help you. I fear I've been dreadfully remiss over the whole affair. Not only remiss, but untidy.
I'm afraid there's nothing whatever to be done.
But there is. There is! I have found a formula. Here it is. I copied it out of Edmondson's Witchcraft and its Byways.
What the hell are you talking about?
Pluck up your heart, Mr. Condamine. All is not lost.
Listen, Madame Arcadi.
You were still anxious to dematerialize your first wife, I suppose?
Yes, of course, I'm perfectly furious with her, but...
But what?
Well, she's been very upset for the last few days. Apart from me being angry with her, which she always hated, Ruth, my second wife, has hardly left her side at a moment. So, you see, she's been having a pretty bad time with one thing or another.
Your delicacy of feeling does you credit. But I must say, if you will forgive my bluntness, that you are a damned fool, Mr. Condamine.
You're at liberty to think whatever you please.
Now, don't get on your high horse. There's no sense in that, is there? I have a formula here that I think will be able to get rid of her without hurting her feelings in the least. It's extremely simple. It requires nothing more than complete concentration from you and a minor trance from me. I might even be able to manage it without lying down.
Honestly, I would rather if...
Charles!
What on earth's the matter?
Oh, what's she doing here?
She came to offer me her condolences.
They should have been congratulations.
Please don't talk like that, Elvira. It's in the worst possible taste. Madame Arcadi, allow me to introduce you to my first wife, Elvira.
How do you do?
She's the one who got me here in the first place, isn't she?
Yes.
Well, tell her to get me away this very minute. I can't stand this house another second.
Really, Elvira, I'm surprised at you.
I don't care how surprised you are. I want to go home. I'm sick of the whole thing.
Don't be childish, Elvira.
I'm not being childish. I mean it.
What part of the room is she at the moment?
She's moving about rather rapidly. I'll tell you when and where she settles.
very interesting. Very interesting. I smell ectoplasm strongly.
What a disgusting thing to say.
Where is she now?
Here, close to me.
Are you happy, my dear?
Tell the silly old witch to mind her own business.
Was the journey difficult? Are you weary?
She's dotty.
Madam Arcadi,
This is wonderful. Wonderful!
For God's sake, tell her to get into the other room, Charles. I've got to talk to you.
just a moment, Madam Arcadi.
I have almost made a connection. I can sense the vibrations. This is magnificent.
Go on, Elvira, don't be a spoil sport. Give her a bit of encouragement.
You'll promise to get her into the other room.
All right.
How's that?
Yes, yes, again, again. This is first rate. It really is first rate. Absolutely stunning.
I'm so glad you're pleased.
Please get her into the other room. Ruth will be in a minute.
Madam Arcadi, would you think it most frightfully rude if I asked you to go to the dining room for a moment? My wife wishes to speak to me alone.
Oh, must I? It's so lovely being actually in the room with her.
Just for a few minutes. I promise she'll be here when you get back.
All right. Hand me my bag, will you? It's on the settee.
I'll get it.
Oh, you darling. You little darling.